The backdrop of what should have been a diplomatic breakthrough has turned into aggression, of course. Peace talks between Ukraine and Russia, which resumed in Istanbul, the first such meeting in 3 years, but within hours these hopes were doused in diesel and ignited by a drone that attacked a minibus, a civilian minibus evacuating elderly citizens from Bilofilia in Sumy Oblast, was deliberately targeted by a Russian Lancet drone, killing 9 people. 4 more lie wounded. Most of the victims were elderly women. This was no battlefield mishap. This was a calculated act of cruelty by a barbaric state controlled by Putin and his cronies. The Istanbul summit was hastily convened, reportedly by Vladimir Putin himself, but one might have expected gravity, resolve, or at least seriousness. Instead, what arrived from Moscow was not Putin, not even a senior envoy, but a delegation lacking the authority to negotiate even the colour of the tablecloth. Russia's representatives threatened, and I quote, eternal war. They made no meaningful proposals for a ceasefire. They were reportedly waiting for superiors to approve even technical discussions. Zelensky offered to meet Putin personally, a challenge rejected without ceremony. There was one concrete outcome, an arrangement to exchange 1,000 prisoners each. This is welcome, but a prisoner swap is not peace. These weren't peace talks. These were a pantomime of diplomacy, a stalling tactic by a weak and enfeebled state. And what followed made that cynicism clear. Just hours after the Istanbul meeting ended, a Russian drone struck a minibus evacuating civilians near Bilofilia in Sumy. It was early morning, 6:17 a.m. The bus was following a pre-arranged humanitarian route. The wounded were triaged on site and transferred to hospital. 9 are dead, mostly elderly women. And the images shared by Ukraine's national police are devastating. The roof of the vehicle is torn off, windows blown out, the road is soaked in blood and glass, and the blast radius speaks to precision, not accident. This was not an errant shell. This was not collateral damage. This was targeted murder. And Sumy Oblast, which borders Russia's Kursk, Belgorod and Bryansk regions, has become a proving ground for Russian assault groups and drone warfare. Residents experience daily strikes, glide bombs, artillery, infiltration teams. Moscow's goal is to stretch Ukraine's forces and to terrorize its citizens, its civilians. This isn't warfare. This is a slow and methodical campaign of civilian intimidation, a grotesque mimicry of Chechnya or Syria, except it plays out on the edge of Europe. And what is painfully clear is that Russia doesn't want peace, it wants submission. In Istanbul, it reiterated demands for a full retreat of Ukrainian forces from all 4 illegally annexed regions, Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia and Kherson, areas it doesn't fully control, and it wants the rest. It wants the whole of Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia and Kherson. The so-called peace plan is nothing but a thinly veiled surrender document. It's not diplomacy, it's diktat, and more than that. Moscow has already legislated that it owns Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia and Kherson, as well as Crimea. President Zelensky is absolutely right to demand that further sanctions be triggered if Moscow continues to reject a ceasefire. Peace without justice is capitulation. The rules-based order is not a buffet. One cannot drone strike pensioners by day and posture at peace tables by night. This is not a proxy war. It's not a special military operation. It's the systematic targeting of civilians, the forced deportation of children, the destruction of Ukrainian culture and identity. And the drone that struck Bilofilia was not just a machine, it was a message. It said, we are watching, we are punishing, we are unrepentant. Yuri Zakov, the head of Bilofilia, called it Black Saturday. He's declared 3 days of mourning. But how many Black Saturdays will Ukraine have to endure before the world understands that Russia is not interested in dialogue, only domination? So what can we learn from Istanbul and Sumy? That diplomacy without consequence emboldens tyrants. That each drone strike must provoke not just sorrow but strategy. That the time has come, not only for fresh sanctions but for renewed resolve. And if we allow Russia to continue this grotesque performance, striking buses while swapping prisoners, we betray the very concept of peace. This isn't a frozen conflict, it's a live wire. And if we fail to act, the next drone will not stop at a bus. It may well arrive at the edge of NATO.